Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's going on? So, I wanted to talk about this, man. Somebody actually mentioned it to me on Instagram, man. If you ain't following the channel on Instagram, follow Contender Regime Boxing on Instagram, man. You know, you want to get at me, shoot me a message, you know, get in the comments, get interactive, you dig what I'm saying? And you know, somebody had asked me a question, you know, about Boots Ennis and his chances of beating the Errol Spences and the Terence Crawfords of the world, particularly Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, the two top guys. As you guys know, these are the two best fighters in the division. These are the two guys that I have number one and number two atop the pound for pound list, the Contender Regime pound for pound list that drops every first of the month, or is at least updated every first of the month. Sometimes I drop it every other month because, you know, sometimes we don't even have traction in the sport of boxing month to month like that. But I thought about this, man, and you know, Jaron Boots Ennis is an extremely skilled fighter. I personally believe that Ennis is the future of boxing. I think this kid will be the face of boxing in a matter of time. I think Jaron Ennis is one of those generational talents, one of those God-given athletes, you know, just gifted. Roy Jones type of athleticism, the reflexes, the ambidextrous ability to switch hit and do it naturally. Hand speed, blazing hand speed, and he got power. Then on top of that, he got great size for the division. He'll probably be able to fight comfortably at 47, 54, and 60. The IQ came up in a family of fighters. I mean, this kid is just one of those guys that he has everything. And all he need now is experience. That's all he need. Experience. Fights. You know? Experience against, you know, keep raising his level of competition. Just getting better and better. Work ethic crazy. Stay in the gym. Man, I'm a huge fan of Jaron Ennis, and I think he everything. Just being honest with y'all, I think he everything. And but the question was, can he beat Errol, the True Spence Jr., and Terence Crawford right now? Well, let me get this out the way. We know that Jaron Ennis is kind of he kind of has a rival that it's a natural thing with Virgil Ortiz because they both coming up around the same time, both around well, they both actually 23, I believe. Boots had turned 23 earlier this year, and Virgil Ortiz just turned 23. So both the same age, both guys very talented, very skilled, and a lot of people, including myself, want to see this fight. I put a poll out. Do y'all want to see the Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz fight now, or do y'all want to let it marinate and get the fight 5 years from now, like we normally have to wait for these big fights, which we shouldn't have to, but y'all, we talked about that already, right? But it's almost, the poll is still up right now. It's almost 600 votes, and 89% of you guys said y'all want to see the fight right now. So, hey, salute to y'all. Y'all some real motherfuckers. I fuck with y'all. Y'all real. Y'all real as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Them other 11%, I don't know what y'all got going on. You know what I'm saying? But speaking of Virgil Ortiz is a great fighter. I don't think that he's on the level of Jaron Ennis. I just think Jaron Ennis, for all the reasons that I mentioned, Jaron Ennis is just on another level. He's a class above Virgil Ortiz. You know, just overall ability. Virgil Ortiz is explosive, comes forward, strong, throws every punch with conviction. Punch variation is crazy. He invests in the body. He can go up top with it. pretty decent defense for a flat-footed, come-forward fighter. He got good defense, but he throws a lot of punches, so he gonna get touched sometimes. Just like Jaron Ennis gonna get touched sometimes, because these are offensive fighters. These are guys that seek and destroy. They want to get you up out of there. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that Jaron Ennis has a lot more dimensions to him as opposed to Virgil Ortiz. But that's the fight that I want to see right now. I think either one of these guys, if they say they're ready for the top guys, then put them in there. I'm not one of these fans that want to hold these fighters' hands and keep them back and keep them from fighting the top guys. If you think you're ready, get in there, because, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, it's not a guarantee that you still won't get your ass beat. So you might as well get in there right now. You dig what I'm saying? But I just wanted to show the difference in class between Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, which is why I can intellectually analyze the Jaron Ennis chances of beating Errol Spence and Terence Crawford more than I can with Virgil Ortiz, because in my opinion, Jaron Ennis is just on another level. I think Jaron Ennis has a better chance of beating Spence and Crawford than Virgil Ortiz does. I think Spence and Crawford both beat Virgil Ortiz. I think they both stopped Virgil Ortiz. And I'm just talking about right now. Now, maybe Virgil Ortiz can gain a little bit more experience and get better. Maybe he can enter this conversation and we can talk about it more competitively. But going back to the initial question, can Jaron Ennis beat Errol the True Spence Jr. or Terence Crawford? Now, let's start off with Terence Crawford. I think Jaron Ennis versus Terence Crawford is a more competitive fight than Jaron Ennis versus Errol Spence right now. Just as of like today, I think that fight is more competitive. I'm going to tell you why. Jaron Ennis is extremely offensive. He want to get you out of there. He want to hurt you. Of course, both guys can box. We know Terence Crawford is a phenomenal and extremely skilled boxer. But he want to get you up out of there. They want to hurt you. I feel like Jaron Ennis is one of those guys that if you touch him, he want to get his lick back too. And I think he's a little bit more composed than Terence Crawford. Well, maybe he's a little bit more composed than what Terence Crawford was early on in his career. But I think Terence Crawford is a little bit more seasoned now. And I believe that he knows when to go for the kill. I would definitely give him that. But I think that fight is more competitive simply because both guys will go for the kill and both guys will exchange. Terence Crawford, he's not gonna be just extremely responsible on defense. Not saying that he's not a good defensive fighter, because he is, but he's gonna open up and he's gonna allow Jaron Ennis an opportunity to catch him. The same thing with Ennis. Ennis is gonna open up and allow an opportunity for Terence Crawford to catch him. Now, Jaron Ennis is 2.5 inches taller than Terence Crawford, maybe 3 inches. I'd say like 2.5 inches. But they both got the same reach, 74-inch reach. I think the height will offset because of the reach is the same. So they'll both have equal opportunity to land their combinations. The hand speed, both of them have great hand speed. I think experience in that fight will give Terence Crawford the edge right now. Not saying that Boots Ennis ain't ready. Not saying that he can't compete, because I think he can right now. But I would give Terence Crawford the edge in that fight just off of the experience. Now, I do think there's a chance that Jaron Ennis can catch Terence Crawford in an exchange and hurt him bad. And we know that Jaron Ennis is a hell of a finisher. So I do believe that Ennis, he does have a chance. If I'm going to put a percentage on that fight, I'm going to say it's like 55-45 for Terence Crawford. I'm going to say 55-45 for Terence Crawford. It's not a 50-50 fight yet, in my opinion. I'm going to say 55-45 for Terence Crawford. I just believe that Terence Crawford will find a way. If they were to fight today, I think Terence Crawford would find a way to win that fight. just being more experienced, being a veteran in the game, and I think he'll have some crafty moves to that'll kind of give him an opening to maybe hurt Ennis and drop him once or twice, get up on the cards, maybe win by decision. I really couldn't see that fight going to the cards, though, to be honest with you. I think that fight ends in stoppage. And I believe that Terence Crawford will find a way to land the right punch and maybe hurt Ennis. But again, I'm saying 55-45, which means that there's a 45% chance that Ennis could be the one landing the punch, that hurts Crawford and stopping him. And I feel like if either one of those guys get you hurt, they gonna finish you. They going for the kill. We talking about like now Ennis guy, you got to put Ennis in the conversation for top 5 offensive fighters in the game. He might even be higher than 5. But I believe that Terence Crawford is probably the best offensive fighter in the game. Top 3 definitely. Now you got to put Jaron Ennis in that conversation when we just talking about pure offense. He's up there. But yeah, man, that's a 55-45 fight for me with Errol the True Spence Jr. In my personal opinion, I think Jaron Ennis can be competitive in that fight. I think he can give Errol Spence some issues. The reach, 74 inch versus 72. The athleticism, that athleticism and that ability that Jaron Ennis has, that gives anybody issues, right? But with Errol Spence, though, I think that fight is more so right now. We talking about today, right now. That fight, in my opinion, is more so 70-30 for Errol the True Spence Jr. Maybe 60-40 for Errol Spence. I may be going too high with 70-30, but I'm going to say anywhere between 60-40 or 70-30 Errol the True Spence Jr. I believe Errol Spence is just too poised, too experienced in big fights against elite level competition at the welterweight division. I think Errol Spence is just he's a lot more composed and poised and calculated than a Terence Crawford. I feel like Errol Spence will, even with the shorter reach, I think he will control the distance of that fight. I think he will control the pace of the fight. I think Jaron Ennis is still getting down his distance control, and that's something that I feel like he'll pick up as he continues to gain experience. But Errol Spence, I feel like he'll control the distance in that fight. He'll control the pace. He'll slow Ennis down. He'll make Ennis fight at a lot slower pace than what he wants as far as Ennis's offense. Now, Errol, even though Earl's slowing down the pace of the fight, he's still going to go at his own pace on offense. He just going to make you, he going to slow your shit down. You know what I'm saying? I think with the jab, even with the shorter reach, Errol Spence uses the jab in different ways. I think he'll put it in Jaron Ennis's face all night and just kind of throw his timing off. Just throw his timing off and work his way on the inside. Jaron Ennis, I feel like he throws great combinations on the inside, but he's not as good of an inside fighter as Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence uses his jab. He comes for. I believe Jaron Ennis would be boxing off of the back foot in that fight. I think Errol Spence will push him back, walking forward with the jab and just keeping him off balance. Keeping that jab in his face constantly, just keeping him off balance and not really allowing Jaron Ennis to get in a rhythm. Now, I do believe Jaron Ennis can fight off of the back foot, but Errol is just a different monster when it comes to using the pivot, controlling distance, and using that jab to blind you and offset your offense while he's continuing to pick up steam, going to the head, going to the body, making you miss while he's coming in. You know, just like how Marvin Hagler used to do, coming forward while making you miss. You know what I'm saying? Just like he'll out counter you while coming forward. And I think Errol Spence wins that fight on the cards. There will be some punches, some good shots landed by Ennis. I think Errol Spence will take them well. And, I think Errol Spence will definitely land some big shots. I don't know if Errol Spence stops Jaron Ennis. It's possible because Jaron Ennis opens up a lot. Some of the same characteristics that Terence Crawford has, I think Jaron Ennis has. And some of the same reasons that I pick Errol Spence over Terence Crawford, I will pick Errol Spence over Jaron Ennis. But we just talking about right now, today. I just believe that Errol Spence is he's just too poised. His mental is what's gonna separate the mental, the IQ, the ring generalship, and the experience is what's gonna separate Errol Spence in a fight with Jaron Ennis if it were to happen today. And like I said, when I did my breakdown of Jaron Ennis versus Sergey Lipinets, there were some things that I would have liked to see him work on, like when he throws punches, he leaves himself open after he throws. His hands are down when he throw punches a lot of times. Now, I know a lot of that is due to him having great speed and reflexes. He know he can get out, make you miss, get out of the way, and then come back with something. But with a guy like Errol Spence, he going to capitalize on those things. So that both fights will be extremely interesting. But if you ask me, do I think Jaron Ennis beats Errol Spence and Terence Crawford right now? I would say no. Does that mean that he can't beat them? No, he can. I think he can win. Remember, none of these fights, I'm saying 100%. I think he can win both of those fights, but I think it's unlikely right now. But I think these guys are ready. Put them in there. Now, just because I can say that I don't think he gonna beat Errol Spence right now, but shit, 3-4 years from now, that don't mean he gonna beat Errol Spence in 3-4 years. And if Terence Crawford is around, it don't mean he gonna beat Terence Crawford in 3-4 years. So put these guys in the ring with these dudes right now if they say they ready. You know what I'm saying? But that's my take on it, man. I think both of those are great fights. Jaron Ennis, man, he's only 23. And we already talking about this guy with the top 2 guys in the division. The top 2 fighters on the planet, in my opinion. You dig what I'm saying? So that speaks volumes of Jaron Ennis. This is not to diminish either one of these 3 guys. That just speaks volumes on Jaron Ennis, how good he is and how good he has the potential to be. So y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. How do y'all feel about Jaron? We just having a candid boxing conversation, man. How do y'all feel about Jaron Ennis's chances versus the top 2 guys in the division? Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender Regime Boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.